Hello and welcome to Friday Art with me, Cate Field, the Alternative Art School. I really hope you are well. In today's tutorial, we're going to be exploring mark making and collage. I'll be writing a few little poems as well, and this might be something that you could do in your own art practice, your journal or your sketchbook. So, if you're ready, let's go. Those of you who have watched my channel for a while will know that I love working with mixed media and I like using all sorts of things to create art. And in this tutorial we're going to be using some scraps of paper, bits of old maps, directories, some old sheet music. This was all water damaged that I collected from a charity shop and from the bin actually. I'm going to be using some colouring pencils, a biro pen, maybe an acrylic marker as well, but this is going to be monochrome, so I am just going to be using shades of grey, black and white really. I might do another one with another colour, so monochrome just means one colour. Now strictly speaking, black and white aren't colours, but that is going a little bit pedantic even for me, so I'm going to keep this quite neutral. I might add some colour to it, and I'm going to be working in one of my experimental journals. This is one I made last year. It's got all sorts of collage pieces in it, just ideas that I'm playing with, and I thought, well, the reason I like working in this particular journal is that I've put lots of different types of paper in it. If you want to know how to make this one, I will put a link to the tutorial because it was quite a while ago. Anyway, I'm going to be using this double page. I've got just an ordinary glue stick, and we're going to start by just putting in some of these papers in the background. Some I might cut, some I might tear, but you can pick up directories really easily, so just have a look around, and they're great because sometimes it will be a little memory, like I'm seeing this. I actually know some of these streets. This is from a London directory. Try not to get distracted. When I was teaching A-levels and diplomas, oh my goodness, whenever we kind of got magazines out, it'd just be very funny. Students would get very distracted and would end up talking about gardening and recipes and stuff like that. Although the funniest one, I think, was my parents had given me a load of their magazines from their cruises, sort of advertising various cruises. So can you imagine these 17, 18, 19-year-olds all kind of looking at the Saga cruises and going, oh, that looks really nice, we could go there. It was very sweet. Anyway, I'm putting these down on a page. I'm just sort of laying them out. I'm leaving some white space because I want to add some different types of mark making there. I'm just going to stick those down and then we will come back. Oh, well, that was fun. I found some interesting words when I was looking through some of the old magazines and papers, and I really liked just kind of putting odd words into my pieces, and they can be little triggers and prompts for other bits of creative practice. Indeed, it's one of the ways when I'm doing creative writing workshops that I will get random letters and random words, and we'll make up silly poems and stories and things like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is use colouring pencil and a ballpoint pen, and we're just going to do some mark making in these white spaces. Now, when I say mark making, it's exactly that. It's whatever mark goes onto the page, and as always, I say the mark you make is the correct mark. There's no kind of going wrong in these sorts of things. So it could be a wiggly line like this. Could be a bit of crosshatch pattern. And I'm just sort of going to play around with some lines, making marks, creating patterns and textures in these spaces. And I really would encourage you to use this time to play, as always. Let me go. And you see what happens. You can get some really interesting shapes and patterns just with a simple straight line. And this is one of the exercises that I do when I'm teaching drawing, because so many of my students, whether they are older, my adult students, or whether they're my younger ones, will tell me that they can't draw, and that means they are no good at art. And my answer is always the same, is that you can learn how to draw. It's a skill, it just needs to be taught. And one of the ways that we can start is by being familiar with the materials that we're using. In this case, the pencil and the pen. And we get familiar by doodling, writing. You could write your name. You could just do a whole load of swirly things. See what that turns out like. And again, this is a sketchbook, so it's a place for experimentation. And some things you might like and some things you might not. But as we become familiar with the marks that we make, the pen, the pencil in our hand, then we can start getting confident. Remember when you first learned to write? If you're like me, you can't actually remember that because it was a very long time ago. But if we look at the handwriting of very, very small children, you can see that it's not something that comes naturally. You have to work at it. You have to practice. You have to hold the pen or pencil correctly. So don't beat yourself up if you think that you can't draw. I'm quite liking this. This is a very, very cheap pen. It's quite smooth. It's nice. It's nice. I might add some of my sort of fountain pen ink as well. I'm just creating these sort of splodgy bits as I'm building up the space. And as, again, those of you who watch me many times will know, everything goes through a messy stage. And that is when people tend to give up. Don't give up. Even if you think something has gone hopelessly wrong, see if you can work through it. But if you really do feel it's a complete disaster, then paint over the top. It's not the end of the world, is it? Circles. I like circles. Again, building up this space. You see the difference in the contrast between using the colouring pencil and using the ballpoint pen. Different textures. It's not the one is better than the other. They're just different. I'm going to have a go with using my acrylic pen. Again, you're going to have a different type of mark. Feels different on the page. Let's put some of these together. Just sort of building that up. playing around with it really. Try not to get distracted by some of these other words like banger and ganger and hanger, and condom, which is slightly unfortunate, but never mind. Moving on, Kate, come on. So let's now think. So I like scribbly bits as well. Think about what else we could do with this, and I'm going to get my stencils out, but you don't have to use stencils. I'm going to show you another idea, and then you do whatever you like. And a bit of acrylic paint we're going to do over the top of this, because I really like this idea of everything is possible and compelling and curious. And I might write a little poem because something is popping into my head. So I've got some of my favourite stencils here, again quite abstract, and then I've got some acrylic paint in white to buff and a little bit of black. It's going to start off, I'm just using a sponge brush here. I like these because they're quite soft. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of the corner. There are so many ways to use stencils, and I really like using them to create interesting textures and interesting backgrounds. And I know that some of you like using them as well. There's just oh, endless joy, I think. There we go. Just put that one there. And this one I like is kind of like Hessian texture. I do like it. This double page is going to have a multiple of layers, and I'm thinking that I would actually like to create a series of work on these sorts of ideas. You see it's just sort of broken up the space a little bit. So I will show you that in a later tutorial when I'm sort of working on canvases and things like that, getting ready for a show. But everything starts in my sketchbooks and in my journals. Not all artists work this way, but it works for me, and I like to play around with ideas, try things out, see what's going to work, think about why I'm doing something. Not always. Sometimes I would just make the marks on the page just for the fun of it and for the joy. I really do love the process of painting, of putting marks onto paper and creating pages like this. It's something that gives me huge amounts of pleasure. And I'm releasing this on Good Friday. And if you didn't catch up with my podcast, my Wednesday Wandering, then you might like to do that, when I sort of talk about Holy Week and Maundy Thursday and Easter and what it means, but also about how whether you're religious or not, we can use this space and this time to reflect. And again, it's that kind of process, working through an idea and seeing what happens. And it is that kind of, oh, what if I did that? What would happen then? And I do like that. Right, I'm just going to pop this chain in. I'm going to use black. I'm going to mix it with a little bit of the white, because I know it's going to be quite dark. Let's just try a little bit. Again, I like using just a bit of a stencil rather than the whole thing, because I think that it can really be quite interesting when you do that. Let's just see. lift that one up. Yeah, see, I'm liking that. I like that sort of negative space coming through. And I'm just going to do a little bit, perhaps with a little bit of the white. So today being Good Friday is, for me, a meditative day and time to reflect, give myself a bit of space, a bit of time, and I would encourage you to do the same. And so if you are going to be celebrating over this coming weekend, let me know what you're doing. I do love people's traditions. I love that. I've put up my little Easter display in my window, which is quite fun. So it's my little crochet hen. You see what's happening there, and I do quite like this idea of it's like a chain, isn't it? Quite liking that, how that's sort of coming together. Now I was going to leave a space for a poem, and I'm thinking that space there is going to be where my little poem is going to be. I'm going to do another double page. I'm not going to do any more on this apart from my poem, but I am going to have to leave that to dry before I turn over the page, which will be a very good opportunity for me to go and have a cup of coffee. I will see you in a moment. So I am quite liking how this is turning out. This is dry now, and I've just started to put some other pieces of collage on here, and I'm going to do a similar sort of thing. I'm just going to be making some marks in the spaces and across some of these papers, same as I did last time, but I am going to be introducing a colour to this page. Let me just, so again, the marks that you make can be anything really. So I've got circles up here. We could have squares, a whole load of squares. And what happens is it breaks up the page, and you start to see some really quite interesting textures. And again, it will be it will definitely go through the messy stage. Let's just have a wiggly scribble going across the page there. Again, it's just experimenting, playing, and in your journal or your sketchbook, this is where you try out ideas, and they're yours. You don't have to show anybody. So let's you can just have fun. If you would like to show someone, then you could join our lovely Facebook group if you haven't already. It's such a friendly place. Oh my goodness. So it's been going nearly a year in May. So May 2024 I started it, just because a couple of people, when I started this channel, said that they would like a space to share their work. And I thought, oh, that sounds like good fun. So in that first couple of weeks, I think there were 6 of us. It was very lovely, and there are now over 500 and they're all lovely. Everyone is really lovely and very, very supportive, and all in different stages of their art practice. And so if you would like to join our lovely friendly group, then the link is in the description. Please answer the questions. I need to know that you're a real person. So please do that. Otherwise I will have to decline it, but I will, if I decline it, I will always give you a reason why, and it will be because you haven't answered the questions or agreed to the group rules. So please do that. There we go. And if you haven't liked this tutorial and you're enjoying it, that would be really nice, because it really does help other people find me. And if you know other people who might like this sort of content, then perhaps you could share it. That would be very lovely too. So you see, I'm just using the same materials that I was using before. Just having a bit of fun, really. Not kind of thinking about it too much. There are times when I do my work and I think about it a lot. And it will always be after I've done some experiments. Always. I never go into like a canvas or something without really playing with some ideas first. Using the flat end of the brush here. Pencil. This is the problem when I'm working and talking at the same time. Things go wrong. As those of you who know, when I start actually writing words, and yes, very interesting spelling appears. So again, just sort of using this grey pencil. And I'm going to do some more with the stencils with the buff and cream. No, buff and white. So I've still got a little bit of black on my sponge, so that's okay because it will just come out as a grey. Okay, I'm just going to do just some little bits here. Again, it just sort of breaks up that space, which I quite like. Some more white over this. Doesn't matter if it splodges over at this point, that's fine. And I'm going to go back to this one. I think I'm going to go this way this time. Let's hold it down. You can hold it down with masking tape. Like me, just hold it down with your other hand and then just get very messy. Yeah, I like that. Let's do this. Again, it's just like using a bit of the stencil. It can be really quite effective. So I've added some pink. I've mixed some of the pink with the grey. And now I'm just using a little brush here to put some marks across the page, just a few little kind of highlights of bright fluorescent pink. There we go. And again, I am going to do a poem across here, or some words, maybe just a bit of prose. I've got a few ideas. I have another book where I put my writing thoughts and ideas. And if you're watching any of The Quiet Path, Walking the Quiet Path, which is based on my book, The Quiet Path, then you will have seen the book, because I do use that book. And so Walking the Quiet Path is a book that I wrote last year, and it's a series of 30 prompts, really. So you can do it over 30 days, or you can just dip into the book and use it however you like. But I've just started to put it onto YouTube for members first, and then a week or so later it will be available for everybody. If you'd like to join my Open Studio membership, that would be very nice. Lots of content that is not available to everybody, courses and kind of little workshop type things. Anyway, the details are in the description. Oh, I do like fluorescent pink. Isn't it lovely how some colours can just make you happy? For me, it's very much fluorescent pink and bright yellow. There we go. But I do love the moody colours as well, blues and purples, all of those. So again, just sort of using my brush. I'm not using any water. I'm just sort of flicking, almost like just my wrist, very, very loose. You know, the way you hold a brush is different to how you hold a pencil, because you need to get some more sort of flexibility when you're doing this kind of work. But this is quite fun. And so it's just a little bit more of there, and that space there would be for the writing. Yeah, I'm liking that. Right, going to leave that to dry, and then I'm going to put the writing on that space there and in this space here. So I finished this page, and let's go back to this one. And this is my poem. I've typed it out, and because it kind of grew. So I might handwrite some of it, but basically I kind of took the title from Everything is Possible, and then I found the kind of compelling and curious words and popped those into the poem as well. And I'm just going to see what this might look like if I stick it in rather than handwrite it. And because I quite often will do that. I think it needs to be cut out a little bit more. I also wrote some haikus, which I think I'm going to handwrite. I will do those, and that could be on this page as well. Might do a few, a mixture. I think I will do a mixture of putting these on the page as text like this, and a bit of handwritten. I do quite like the text, but I don't like the white, so that's going to be buffed up a bit, I think. So I think I'll just do that while I'm thinking. So I'm just going to scrape acrylic paint over the top of it. I might just sort of scrunch it up a bit, actually. Yeah, that works. It's, you can have quite interesting, just sort of moving that across the page a little bit. I don't always do that. Sometimes I will just stick the paper in, but it was just a little bit too white. And then, I might completely change my mind again, because that is what we do, and that's fine. We can do that. Because I do like handwriting things. I'm going to handwrite, while I'm still thinking about that, I'm going to do one of my haikus here. And I'm just going to write that down. It doesn't matter if you can't see it too much, because it's just going to be part of the edge, torn edge of a page. I do like tiny poems. Everything is possible in a quiet hand. And if you like writing poetry and bits of prose like I do, then you're having a starting point from these letters and words is quite good. So I've got this old books here. I'll pop that up here. Oh, see whether that's that. Old books. Breathe softly. I am so lucky where I live. I've got 3 little market towns of Lyme Regis, Axminster and Bridport, and all 3 have got quirky little bookshops, and it's just brilliant. Letters curled in candlelight. That's quite romantic actually, isn't it? But I hope you can see where this might go. Now I'm not liking this, so I might print out another one in a slightly different way and put that on, and I will show you that in a moment. Well, I finally made up my mind how I was going to do this, and I did print it all out, but then I decided to just break up each line or cluster of lines and put them on the page like that, which I'm quite pleased with. And then this one, did some handwritten pieces, and then again just stuck it on another piece of paper. There's just so many different ways, isn't there, that we can just see what happens. And then my final, you probably can't even see that, this says, I let the marks rest, unfinished and beautiful. This too is enough. And I think I will leave it like that. I hope you have enjoyed that tutorial. I won't be here on Monday for Doodle Club because I am going to spend some time with my parents, which would be very lovely. I will be back on Wednesday for Wednesday Wandering, and of course next Friday for Friday Art. But if you want to see some more before then, you could look at this one and this one. Take care and have a wonderful Easter. Bye bye.